What is going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. It's another day and another drama at Palace. As you can see from the title, the Palace board have made a decision on Roy's future, but it is more complicated. Why? Because we are Crystal Palace FC. But as always, if you do enjoy the content, leave a like and subscribe, people. Let's try and hit 5,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Thank you to every single one of you that do it. It helps the algorithm and helps us grow the channel, especially if you do enjoy the content. And let us know your thoughts in the live comment section. And if you're watching on replay, in the comment section down below. AJ, I've got a smile on my face because, you know, it's been a few days since I spoke to you. How you been, man?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Just been dissecting a lot of the Palace news. Obviously, we're going to get into it in the video, man. But I'm tired, man. They just make me tired. Like, you know, you got one side of things where it seems like we're having an internal implosion. Then you've got bloody mainstream media talking about, oh, we'll be fine. We can't get relegated. Roy's safe hands. Bro, you're not looking at it from the inside the work from what we're looking at. Like, I'm tired. I'm just fed up. Like, it's just incompetence left, right, and center. And maybe we do need to get relegated for this club to wake up. I just don't understand.
Yeah. Look, there's also an update I forgot to mention at the start of the show on Mark Gahey, but we'll be discussing that towards the end of the show and what's the latest with his injury concerns. But let's not waste any time and let's get into the story, the main juice of the day for Palace. And that is according to Manzi Bobby, who is a editor-in-chief for the Palace Way, as well as he works for the Eagles Beak. So they released an article today stating the following, that the Crystal Palace board have met last night with the group, including club chairman Steve Parish, which is very positive, agreeing that Roy Hodgson's tenure at the club is untenable and a change is needed immediately. But this is where the Crystal Palace FC part comes along, of course, because there's nothing straightforward. The board will not sack Hodgson unless the replacement is lined up, as games are coming thick and fast, with Palace sitting just 5 points above the drop zone. AJ, let me just say this to you. I don't think let's put it like this. You're not good enough. We can't have you on the channel. But we're gonna have you on the channel anyways. What do you make of that news?
First of all, if I'm not good enough for the channel, even though we all know that's a lie. But in all fairness, you know, see you later. Let's keep it moving. I'll keep some of my evenings free. Like, that's not an issue for me. But it's pathetic. It's just pathetic. Like, you mean to tell me Crystal Palace, and I don't want to, you know, you guys have mentioned it, we have mentioned it, I have mentioned it, I've seen it mentioned on social media. You mean to tell me you cannot find a manager that is willing to coach in the Premier League? Now, you know, yes, things are dire, but we're not bottom of the table fighting for our lives. Sheffield United was able to get a replacement. Any football club, even half-decent championship sides, think outside the box and go outside of the usual. What Steve Parish probably means is he can't get any of the usual names that he's probably already got in his phone book. He's not willing to take I won't even say chance, he's just not willing to take the initiative to think outside of the box rather than the usual names that are in the cycle. We've seen over the years when we're in the Premier League that the managers that we brought through the door are just your generic merry-go-round of managers that come through the door. Tony Pulis, Sam Allardyce, Roy Hodgson. It's a Neil Warnock. Like, these are typical British managers' cycles. The only time I've ever seen us think outside the box was De Boer, which obviously naturally that never fit in the end. And then Vieira, which as far as I'm concerned, actually did half a decent job. Obviously, towards the end, it didn't. It went very, very sour, and that is what is. I'm not going to get hung up on the Vieira politics right now. But there are managers out there that would happily manage Palace. I refuse to believe that none of them would do it. Maybe out of the big boy names or the bookies' favourites, or maybe the favourites that we have highlighted, yeah, granted, that I can understand because it's probably political and dealing with Steve Parish is probably a headache. But you mean to tell me there's not a progressive manager in Germany, Italy, Spain, England, Championship, Scotland, hell, USA? Like, there are progressive managers around the world. You can't tell me none of them are interested in a Crystal Palace job. It's you're chatting rubbish. Like there's something amiss here, and I think that they're feeding us a lot of crap, to be honest. And I feel like it's just Steve Parish just trying to long out. And I don't know if it's a case of he doesn't want to pay Roy out, or he's really, really close with Roy, or maybe he feels like he owes Roy something. There's something amiss here, and I feel like as fans we're just being pretty violated a lot here.
Well, according to a report, it seems like they've made a decision. A change is needed. And it also says in an article, because I've seen a few names being mentioned, that the club are struggling to find a replacement for the veteran boss, with Steve Cooper, Potter, and Lopetegui all being sounded out and turning down the opportunity. And this is where my problem lies. It feels like the replacement that we can't find is the 3 or 4 managers that we've been linked with ever since the summer, or you can say for a few months now. But my problem is, AJ, I 100% agree with you. There are managers out there. If those 3 managers don't want the Palace job, it's on us to go find a replacement. We have, according to this report, made a decision, and we all agree that Roy Hodgson cannot be Crystal Palace manager. So you go out there and you find a manager that is actually interested, because there will be a manager interested. I'm with you. I refuse to believe that there is 0 managers out there that will be interested in taking over from Crystal Palace. And right now, you can look at 2 ways. You can say, oh, it's risky to, potentially change it. What if it gets worse? But for me, I honestly don't know with the way that we're playing, with everything right now under Roy Hodgson. I don't know how it could get worse. I genuinely don't know how it could get worse. Because I think this is as bad as it can get with the squad. Genuinely. When we have all the defenders that we had available, we're going to mention Mark Gay's injury, and we're still conceding goals left, right, centre, and everything right now is bad about the football club. So for me, I agree. We have to go and find a replacement. This is not a good enough excuse. If you made a decision that you don't want Hodgson at the football club, you get rid of Roy Hodgson. What I'm worried about is these comments being pushed out, so maybe the fans can calm down. Or maybe, you can say that, we don't want Hodgson here, but we have to go find a replacement. I've said it ages ago. I've lost faith in, I know Steve Parish hasn't directly said this, but I've lost faith in the people that's running the football club day to day. I honestly think it's in them to potentially push out stories like this, to make sure, the fan base, to calm down the fan base and say, oh, look, we're looking for managers. We don't want Hodgson as well. If you don't want Hodgson, you don't have Hodgson at the football club. Simple as. And until that happens, that's when I'm going to believe it. Because right now, Roy Hodgson should not be the Crystal Palace manager today. Or he shouldn't be the Crystal Palace manager for me about a month or 2 months ago. Like, we should have drawn the line. And he's still here right now. And if you're serious about what they're thinking about with their meeting or so, you go and find a replacement. I'm sorry, I don't care about these 3 managers. If they don't want to manage a football club, then clearly they weren't good enough in the first place to come forward. And yes, it might be a tricky position for Steve Cooper or Lopetegui, but this is when we need you. This is when we need you to step up. And if these managers don't want to step up in this moment of time, then forget about it. Because I know when shit goes to fan later on, and it will do, then they're not going to be able to handle it. And that's fine. I'd rather have a manager that's willing to, take the job, and there will be one out there. And it's on the owners to go find it. But let me quickly read out the super chat from Daniel. Really appreciate it. This is infuriating. Go get a damn manager. 100% agree. 100% agree. But look, thank you for your super chat. We just have to go out there and find a manager. If it's not the 3-4 managers that we wanted all along, then that's on us. I mean, we're an established Premier League football club. We shouldn't be putting all our eggs in one basket. And it feels like right now, that's what it feels like. But AJ, let's go through some of the comments. And I also want to look at Alan Nixon, because he said a few things today as well, which makes it even more confusing. But of course, as I said at the start of the show, this is Crystal Palace FC. Nothing is straightforward.
This football club's confusing, right, man. I'll tell you, man. It gives me migraines.
Exactly. Louis says last game should be Chelsea. Colin says,
why does it have to get to Chelsea? That's what I'm saying. Like, why do we have to wait for the Chelsea game? Like, this brother should have been gone ages ago,
Yeah. The managers were going for Art wanted to come to us now because of the lack of time to get the team adjusted to their philosophy. However, I think it's more they don't want to manage in the championship. Yeah, but I mean, if you have faith in yourself as a manager and you look at the squad that we have, you know that this squad can stay up. It's not terrible. It's not terrible.
Well, even with that comment, there have been progressive managers at the time, or up and coming managers, that have left decent leagues, even as assistants. I mean, even if you want to go deep as to, you know, Norwich when they brought in my man, or you know, the assistant manager of Dortmund, Leicester's manager was an assistant at Man City. There are up and coming managers that, you know, there are owners that think outside the box and try something different and go and take those risks, and it pays off. Like, I don't understand. Like, you know, Kieran McKenna, he was a coach at Manchester United before he went to Ipswich and is looking at back-to-back promotions now with a probably a way worse a budget than he would ever have at somewhere like Crystal Palace. Michael Carrick at Middlesbrough, one of the hot players that I heard we were linked with in the summer. He was coaching at Man United. Middlesbrough took a chance on him. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to even be a manager by trade instantly. You could just be an up-and-coming progressive coach, or you could be a great assistant manager, just waiting to make that choice. This is the thing. Our ownership doesn't think outside the box like that. Stop going around the typical names that just happen to be available because they, at one point or very recently, were coaching in the Premier League. We need to be able to think smarter and be a lot more progressive than that.
Yeah. Let me go through some of the comments, and then I'm going to read what Alan Nixon said, because I think that was a bit... what he said was the opposite, not the opposite, but it didn't go with the lines of what the Eagles beak said. But I do have faith in the Eagles beak as a source, but clearly there's different sources putting out different agendas and different messages across, which makes it even worse, because it's like, why can't we do one thing that's simple? Like, why can't we just all agree that Roy needs to go, and that should be it? But look, I'll read out Alan Nixon's comments as well. James, quickly, I just want to bring this up. I'm wondering if half your chat is bots. I'm asking questions, but the replies were complete ignores and AI bot style replies to an agenda and not organic chat. I'll be honest, I don't even have the time. I haven't even had my dinner, let alone create a bot chat. I mean,
All them things cost a lot of money, which I don't think we have that much of. So,
exactly. Yeah.
Well, you know,
if you have a question, if you have a comment, if you put it out there, we'll try to go through it. There's over 200 people here. There's a lot of comments coming through. But yeah, I can't unfortunately read through all of them. But yeah, if you do have a comment or question, if you have a question, put a Q and a dot before your question, and I'll try to pin it and answer it towards the end of the show. I am AI bot, says bollocks. Connor says, if you also go down, so wait until end of season to see if we stay in the Prem. Cuba to understand. I think this is in relation maybe to Alan Nixon. But AJ, what do you think about these names? Fonseca or Hutter?
Because we were linked with Hutter last summer, innit? And I was quite excited by that one. Fonseca is a brilliant name, great experience, pretty much a success. I know the only thing with Fonseca is he doesn't really do long-term projects, but everywhere he goes, he seems to take that team to another level, the same next level that our chairman promised us, or allegedly promised us. In fact, no, it's not even alleged. I was there. So, you know, why not? Both of those names impress me a lot more than Roy Hodgson does right now. Let's just go with that. I'll take any of the two.
Yeah, all right. So let's go through the Alan Nixon tweets. And there's a lot of tweets. I'm just trying to work through them right now because there's a lot of questions that's being asked. I laughed at it. I don't know who mentioned it, but someone said Chris Coleman, and it was going on for a few hours, I think. But I was busy enough. I couldn't even entertain it. It made me laugh when I saw Chris Coleman. I mean, we do get onto Parish, but there's no way on earth it's going to bring Chris Coleman back to the club. So this is what Alan Nixon says. There was a question. Do you know anything about the Palace manager situation? He says up to Parish. He's yet to act. And then, someone mentioned about Chris Coleman, and he said enough already. He said, who would you say would be the number one target if Roy goes? And Alan Nixon replied, that's the problem. They don't seem to agree of any of the possibles. So if we join both the reports together from the Eagles Beak says that they've all agreed that Roy needs to go. Could this be a case of AJ, Roy needs to go, but they can't agree on who takes over from Roy? And that is very believable for me, based on what we've been hearing from the past about the owners not agreeing on certain situations. Could that be the problem now that we're having?
Possibly, but why would you still leave Roy in that position to run the team regardless? Because, yes, we've heard that Texas didn't want Roy to continue, and Steve and Parish did. I'm fully aware of that, and it's pretty obvious they don't get along in all their decisions. But I'd almost argue as well, where does Doogie come into this equation as well? Because does he not get a say in terms of that appointment with a director of football? He would be the one that I'd be maybe trusting to make that decision anyway, because he always gets it right in terms of finding gems all over the place. So why can you not have a say in the manager? Is he not involved in that situation or scenario, or is it strictly all down to Parish? Because if that's the case, that could be playing a massive part. Mr. Captain Golden Share over there in the corner with his minimal ownership, maybe he's dictating a lot of that stuff. Maybe that's the reason why that is causing a headache. And actually, based on what we've read before, that could be another reason why problems are probably taking and probably causing the delay in the background.
Let me go through some of the other tweets as well. They said that's the problem. Who's involved? He said Parish does the manager stuff. So there's your answer for that. That's according to Alan Nixon. Parish does the manager stuff. There was a question asked who's involved. Steve, Doug, and Texar said it's on Parish. So yeah, so Steve Parish makes them calls. And he said, I'm hearing that Cooper's now very interested in taking the job. Alan Nixon replied saying he always was. So he's saying that Steve Cooper is interested. Whereas the Eagles beak says that Steve Cooper is one of those managers that's not willing to take the role right now. So that's conflicting reports right there. Any chance of Potter? He says doubt that very much. So he's saying Potter is unlikely for Palace. He's saying I don't have a say. I know who would pick, but it's irrelevant. And basically Alan Nix is saying he'll go for McKenna, but that's not what the club are going for. But yeah, I mean, it just sounds like Steve Parish is making a call in terms of the manager. Potter is unlikely. Steve Cooper, according to Nixon, is interested, but according to the Eagles beat, I don't know if there's complications there with Steve Cooper. But yeah, he also, Alan Nixon said Parish is Parish. He makes the calls, he takes his time. And I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, he's going to take the time. And he said, and someone asked a question, and I think we can all agree with this. He said, is there actually going to be anyone to take the job though? 4 best players are injured. At the end of the season, it's an appealing job, but now it's not. Alan Nixon replied, and I think this could easily be my reply, is you sold the club to them. It's not that hard. And I think it goes down to that. You need to sell a plan. But I think it's hard to sell a plan when you don't even know what you're doing, which right now, that's what it seems like. I mean, how can we set a plan when you can see, let's say you're Steve Cooper. I mean, Steve Cooper might be interested, or Graham Potter. I mean, you're looking at Crystal Palace, you're seeing banners coming out after games. You're hearing the fans massively frustrated. You need to sell a plan. If you're Steve Parish, you need to say, I'm going to sort this out to one of these managers. Look, come in, let's stay up, and next season, I'm going to sort these out. But the thing is, it's hard to sell a plan when you have owners that don't even agree on a plan. I mean, we're hearing different plans. We're hearing Texas wants to do one thing, Parish wants to do another thing. So how can you sell a plan when we're not all together in a plan in the first place, AJ? And I think that's why I've said it all along. I think the issues are way bigger than Roy Hodgson, and I think it goes down to the owners as well, because, I mean, I don't think everyone's on the same page for us to tell a manager that, yes, this is what we're trying to do.
Well, you can't. That's the whole point. I mean, if you walk into a job interview, yeah, you go up to reception, the people at reception are ignoring you, and they're having a little gossip session, and all you can hear them talking about is, well, this guy don't get along, that guy don't get along, that person's a B word, that person's this, that person's that. Then you go upstairs in the meeting room, and then you can hear arguments kicking off behind the back door, and then you pick up a newspaper or a magazine while you're waiting, and all you can hear about the company's shares are liquidating left, right, and center. You're not really going to be hyper to go into that job, are you? So, I don't know if Parish is just going to try and limp us over the line at 17th place and then try and do a reset. That's the only half logical thing I can think this man is thinking. Because other than anything else, I don't get it. None of this makes sense to me. Like, the club is not progressing in any kind of way. We've invested in all these new players. Roy Hodgson seems to not even be interested in playing those players. Plus the young players that are coming from our upgraded Cap 1 Academy, who is producing quality players. I mean, D, me and you went to that Youth Cup final. Look how much quality was available on show. Half of those young players are either on loan, they've been released, or they're just jamming in the reserves. or that one or two might have made the bench and Roy just ain't playing them, or he's putting on for 5 minutes at a time. There is no way you can tell me Steve Parish has built this for the past 10, 11, 12 years or however long it's been, and he's happy with that. So it's like one hand's doing one thing and the other hand's doing the other. It's not, there's just no common sense in this whole situation.
I asked the question in chat as well. Let me know what you guys think. Who would you want as a manager? Let's get through that as well. I'm genuinely curious because some people still don't want Steve Cooper, and I was one of them. But it's reached a point right now where I think Steve Cooper does make sense. There's still a doubt with me. There is with Steve Cooper. I would have liked us to go for another manager, but right now, as I've always said, beggars can't be choosers. And right now, we are down bad, and I'll take Steve Cooper. For the fact that, you know, he's worked with youth players in the past. He's built a connection even with Forest. Forest fans didn't want him to get sacked. They were behind him. He's got that connection with the fans, which we desperately need as well, because there's a disconnect between the manager and the fan base right now, and that's been the case, I think, pretty much for the whole season. So Steve Cooper does tick those boxes, but for me, I would like us to go with a different approach, ideally. But if there isn't, and it's between Steve Cooper, Roy Hodgson, I'm taking Steve Cooper right now. Let's see. SpongeBob. I'll take Cooper, says Callum. Steve Cooper's win rate is better than Potter's, says Mukhtar. Fair enough. Is Parish against Potter because of the staff he wants to bring in? Just give him anything. Poundland Parish. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about, because of course we haven't heard anything about Parish not wanting Potter because of the staff, but I do remember something similar when Nuno wanted to join Palace, and you know the amount of staff members that he wanted to bring in, and talks kind of broke down, and we didn't get Nuno Espirito Santo, who's now at Nottingham Forest. So I don't know if that will play a part, but there is this thing as well, AJ. I mean, if Roy was to leave, do you think it should be a fresh start altogether?
Yes. I'm tired of this jobs for the boys thing. I'm tired of it.
So do you get rid of all of the coaching staff?
Barring obviously the youth managers. So obviously Powell running the under. Yeah. Or you demote Paddy back to the under 23s. You put Powell back at the under 18s. And Roy, Lewington, them man there. We're losing our doctors to Arsenal apparently anyway. So we start from scratch. When Vieira went, his coaches went. So you start from scratch. That's my argument anyway. Because
but I don't think that kind of hurt Vieira as well in the first place, by bringing in what's the name? Ojan Roberts. Because I mean, I don't know if the stories have come out, but I did hear a few things about problems between the staff and Roberts. And if we did have that connect, let's say like a someone else instead of, let's say, Roberts that understands the club, then maybe that could have been avoided all along. So don't you think someone who knows?
No, but do you know why? I think that sets bad precedent, because you're not enabling your manager to implement his ideas onto the team. Especially if you start implementing, look at the Sean Derry mess. Look at that. That was madness as far as I'm concerned. And they actually went and undermined Vieira because he was coaching the team a certain way. He was coaching the players and obviously ripping into them a certain way. That wasn't Vieira's style. Vieira then wanted him out. He then got put on guard and then leave. As soon as Vieira's out the door, he brings him back through. That's undermining a manager. Like, if you're going to bring in a manager, back the manager, innit? I understand the Nuno situation, but as far as I understood at the time, it was because Nuno kept trying to make last-minute changes and making it more expensive nearer and nearer to this time of signing. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to bring in a new coach or a new manager or a head coach or whatever term you want to use, give them their own coaching staff. Stop trying to wedge jobs for the boys in there. Like, stop trying to wedge Palace legends or alumni into there because you got a little spy in there, or you got your little agendas of trying to help the club legends progress, because our legends can go and progress elsewhere. They don't have to particularly do it here, or they can progress elsewhere and come back if they're that great. So I'm not buying that whole, you need to make sure you attach some of the old coaching staff, because if the old coaching staff were any good, we wouldn't be in this predicament now.
Forest Fan TV, shout out to them. Make sure to check out Forest Fan TV for all the Pardon me. Great Forest content. He said, "Trust me, you don't want Cooper. He's a younger version of Hodgson." And that's. I'm not sold on Cooper, but I think if you see what's going on right now with Hodgson, I do think Cooper still is a better option than Hodgson. But then again, I think if you do bring in Steve Cooper, it's going to be a project for the long term, which I don't know if I'm sold yet to build a project with Steve Cooper. I don't think he's awful, but yeah, I mean, you know better than me anyways. Didn't Vieira personally select Roberts? Well, where's Roberts right now? Clearly, there was issues with Roberts. He probably selected Roberts, but he's not with Vieira right now, Ocean Roberts. So that pretty much says it all. You get it. That's very telling. And I think Vieira's downfall really was the coaching staff, as well as him, of course, but the coaching staff around him, and maybe they didn't have the experience in the Premier League, and maybe that's what cost Vieira his job. And there's pros and cons to both of it. Maybe if you keep Paddy, then you have someone who's experienced, who understands Palace, but then the downside is maybe Steve Cooper or Graham Potter wouldn't want Paddy to influence. Maybe they've already got, their coaching staff that they'll want at Palace rather than Paddy McCarthy. So it depends. But if let's say we want a Graham Potter and they don't want to keep Paddy McCarthy, as harsh as it may sound, we just have to go and have faith in a manager. If we're bringing in a manager for a project, we have to have faith in them, and we have to go with what they want to say and who they want to have at a football club in order to have the best chances as well. His tactics are low block, boring football. To be fair, right now we can't defend. We can't do nothing. So even if that low block was to help us pick up a few points,
if you got us results, I'm here for it. If we got us results, I'm here for it. I wouldn't even care.
As long as we don't give him like a 3-year deal, that's another thing. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We won't get relegated. Calm down, says life's too short. If Cooper can stop us conceding 4 goals every game, that would be a start, or maybe even conceding less than 5 minutes in it feels like every other game. That would also help.
Yeah, at least wait for me to get to the game to concede goals at the fuck, It's just mad, isn't it?
Exactly. I swear down for the last 2 games. Before I could even sit down, we're already 1-0 down.
Well, yeah, that happened at Sheffield United. I literally sat down and I got tapped on the shoulder going, "Oh, and yeah, by the way, it's 1-0. What?
It's like, how many times? Let me just sit down.
What is happening?
For the Chelsea game, I need to be there like 10-15 minutes before, because boy, the way it's going right now, it's keep missing all the goals. I guess it's good because I don't have to see my team concede a goal, but I'm like, damn, let me just have a breather. Like, I just entered the ground and we're already 1-0 down.
Sometimes I have to drive to games, bro. Like, sometimes the traffic ain't always on my side. So, yeah, please be easy with me. Be easy with me.
Dean says it's about the best people in the jobs, not heroes from playing days, which is what Parish loves. And like,
exactly
about this, just quickly about
that's
this. For example, there's a lot of ex-players at the football club, and I do think they are positive to that. But there's also it's hard to talk about a map because you don't know exactly what they do day to day. And one person, for example, I just don't like. He's meant to be the loan manager, and deal with the loans. Is Mark Bright? I just, with all due respect, I don't know what's his qualifications and why does he have that role in the first place.
He's a Palace TV legend, bro. He's a Palace TV legend, isn't it?
Yeah, from outside looking in, it just feels like that's Parish's friend and he's giving him a job. Because I don't know, like, am I looking at loan moves and saying they've been great? Like, how much I would say does Mark Bright have? It's just, do you get it? It's all a bit confusing. Right now, it feels like some people at a football club for the sake of just being at a football club.
I told you, it's jobs for the boys.
They really play at a football club. Do you get it?
Nah, it's jobs for the boys, man. I'm telling you. Like, they will find a role for you. Like, there are bigger clubs that do that. They have club ambassadors. Like, what does man do? No, you just keep him on the payroll, just keep him nice because the fans liked him for a period of time. Well, what does that do for your football club? You see what I'm saying? If you can't give me that answer to that, then I can't take it seriously.
Mary says, as a Brighton fan, it was really poor on Saturday. Worst I've seen from you guys. And much as I want to say I want you to go down, I don't, because it's the games that we all look forward to every season. Exactly. Like, even Brighton fans are saying how poor we were. Like, we were just terrible. We were genuinely terrible. Like, I don't remember us being that. I mean, we've been bad in terms of performances in the past against Brighton, but we've always managed to get results here and there. But 3-0 at half time. Yeah, I mean, how many games do we need to realize that this is not what we want? And yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand how we're still here. I don't understand how we're still here talking about Roy Hodgson. But yeah, according to reports, we don't want him at the football club, but we seem like we can't find a replacement, which it shows me the incompetency at the top. Lara saying, I've seen more exciting and intense football at Carl Shorten this year. Don't care if we come back up. We want to see entertaining football where we see the youth come through.
You Robbins, yeah? All right.
The only managers that will come to us now would be Lampard or Jesse Marsh. I don't think so, Adam. I don't think so. We're better than that. Maybe, look, the thing is, we're looking in the UK, right? We're talking about managers, UK-based, who have experience managing in the country. But there's the whole of Europe. There's the whole of Europe. And I guess it adds the uncertainty levels, right? You don't know if you go and bring in a manager from Germany, whether they could do it in the Premier League, or let's say France or Greece or whatever country. You don't know what's going to exactly happen. But there are managers out there that would want to manage in the Premier League. And it feels like right now what we want to do, which is, I think, the story of this football club, and I think the reason why we're in this position in the first place, is we want to take as less risks as possible. Which you can kind of understand it to a certain extent, right? Because we're only 5 points above the relegation zone. But if you don't want to take as much risk, but the options that you have right now are rejecting you, based such as, the experienced managers that have managed in this country, then you just have to look at alternatives. You have to go try to find a manager if it is abroad, and you have to take the risks. And this is why we're in this position in the first place, because we decided not to take a risk in the summer. We decided to keep Hodgson for another year. And this is why we're here right now. At times, you have to take the risk. I know there's a few Brighton fans here, and I hate to say this, but Brighton took the risk with De Zerbi. They did. De Zerbi has a manager in this country, and it has worked out. Now, it's not just Brighton. There's been other managers and other clubs that took risks with managers that may not have experience. Look at Bournemouth. Look at Bournemouth. Look at the Bournemouth fans. I can bring on Bournemouth fans right now, and they will say, we took a massive risk. They got rid of Gary O'Neill after keeping them up. And they decided to bring a manager from abroad. They decided to back that manager. And now all Bournemouth fans are behind the project. That's the thing. Bournemouth took the risk. And the risk is now paying off. So as a football club, if we do want to progress, we have to have the guts to make a decision that's going to be uncomfortable. Of course, I'm not saying bring in any other manager from Europe just because there's a manager from abroad. But what I'm saying is there are managers out there from abroad that we could potentially target, that we could have conversations with. Are we having these conversations? Are we looking that far ahead? Because based on these reports, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like the same old managers. And maybe we are waiting till the summer. But if we're waiting till the summer, till Gareth Southgate, I will end this right now. Gareth Southgate, are you taking the piss? With all due respect, Gareth Southgate. This guy has got flipping Harry Kane. He's got players that's worth about hundreds of millions of pounds, and he still plays negative football. What makes you think Gareth Southgate is going to come to Palace and he's going to change it up? I do not want Gareth Southgate, let alone wait for Gareth Southgate until the summer. Who on earth waits for Gareth Southgate apart from Crystal Palace Football Club? Who on earth goes and gets Gareth? I do not rate him one bit.
But remember, D, he's got the connection, innit? He's got the connection to the club.
I don't care.
He used to play for the club. He cut his teeth at the club. He's an ex-England manager. He's coached in the Premier League at some point. Bro, he ticks the boxes. I guarantee it. Like, he's going to be on the shortlist.
I don't care. This is not
it's inevitable.
Networking club. I don't care about connections. We don't need to. It doesn't need to be someone who's got a connection to Crystal Palace Football Club. It can be.
Well, apparently it does, based on the MO of what our manager does, on our ownership, or our specific golden share holder. That seems to be his profile.
Well, what? Okay, some people may disagree, but Patrick Vieira, no connection to Crystal Palace. I think under him was the most exciting that we've been as Palace fans. We were looking forward to games. Even if we were losing games, we were looking forward to games. He had no connection to Crystal Palace. He was a very risky approach. And it worked for a season and a half. And for whatever reason, it stopped working. But it was genuinely exciting. It wasn't a Hodgson or Pardew or someone with a connection or someone with experience managing in the UK. Vieira didn't have any experience managing in the UK. He had it in America, over in France, but he didn't. It was a risk that we were willing to take, and it did work out. So my point is, if we want to progress as a football club, sometimes you do have to take these risks. Not every single time it will work out, but it gives us, the fans, something to look forward to, especially if the manager wants to play progressive football rather than what we're having right now under Roy Hodgson. That is my point. So I'm not buying these, oh, we have to go find a replacement. The replacement options are turning us down. Well, that's the 3-4 managers that are out there. There's hundreds of managers in the world that we could target. So stop playing games. And if you do really want to sack Roy Hodgson, if these reports are true, you go and talk to other managers right now today. You go talk to other managers abroad, because I haven't really seen managers from abroad being linked with Crystal Palace during this time. It's always been managers that's from the UK, which makes me think that this club right now, which as I said, I get it to a certain extent because we are 5 points above the drop. So you don't want it to go awful. But if the current options, the UK-based managers don't want us, then there's no other solution. Like, you just have to look beyond the horizon, and you do have to take that risk, because with Hodgson right now, as it stands, I'm not confident that we're going to stay up in the first place. So something needs to change, something that the fans can get behind, AJ. And I think that's what we're missing, right? When we go to Selhurst Park, you see it. It's dull. Even Sheffield United, we're winning that game. I don't know from where you were sitting, but it just seemed like the fans just didn't care.
There's tension. There's tension.
Yeah.
Everybody's toxic.
Exactly. Let's go through some of the comments, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Sweet.
What's happening with the stand?
What stand?
I don't know. I think the latest was that there was a capital call, so I think due to costs rising. Fine. So basically, I think this is back to the finances and maybe raising a bit of money. I don't know what's happening to the stand. I was there on the day at a media event in 2017 when this new stand was revealed. We're on 2024. We're not building a new stadium. We're building a new stand, which I guess, it takes a lot of work. Of course it does. But, geez, we're approaching nearly, I know we're not there yet, but we're approaching like 10 years. 2017, we're in 2024. Give it 3 more years. This new stand, it might take 10 years by the time it's completed, which is crazy in the first place. It's a new stand, not a whole new ground. But yeah, that's the latest anyways with the new stand. Bill, 100% agree with this. We had a whole winter break to sort this out. Exactly. The club decided that everything was fine, which was very stupid. We locked into Vieira, was in the 5th choice or something. Yeah, we did. We did lock into Vieira.
True.
But
very true.
We took that risk. That's the whole purpose. We took that risk rather than going for the usual manager. I mean, Nuno was there. Nuno Espirito Santo, which personally, Forest fans may be happy with him, but I didn't want Nuno, for example. I'm willing to take that risk and go for a manager from the outside. It stopped working for Vieira because he wasn't backed, which is
it's a fair argument.
Forest Fan TV said thoughts on Will still. He could be perfect for you guys. I'm not too sure, AJ.
His hype slipped off. So he was sort of the hot thing when Reims were kind of doing bits, but Reims have not. They're still up there, but they're not. They're not ripping up trees. So that's why he's faded out of the limelight. To be fair, I think like you could probably get a few other managers before Will still. It's not that I don't think he's good enough. I just think there are better managers out there, and a lot of people got hyped on him because he was flavour of the month at the time. He's just a guy that was, is it Belgium he's from? He's got English parents. He was born in Belgium and he just happens to be able to speak French and English. So I think a lot of people got sucked into that. He's a West Ham fan as well. Well, that doesn't matter, man. That don't matter to me.
Yeah, but I'm saying he does want to manage in the Premier League. He said it before. He does want to manage in the Premier League.
So maybe, but I just feel like he's still got some learning to do before he starts talking about Premier League.
They're not doing too bad, to be fair. They're 7th in the French league, so it's not too bad. But yeah, I haven't really heard of Will still as of late, but that's a shout. That'll be a risk as well. We've taken 2 risks with De Boer and Patrick Vieira, and each time scurried back to safety when he felt it wasn't working. Not likely to do it again, since we are risk adverse. But the thing is, AJ, all right, with De Boer, funny enough, after De Boer, it was Roy Hodgson. After Vieira, it was Roy Hodgson.
But the ironic thing, right, was with De Boer, and I remember Wilf coming out in an interview a little bit after he went and said, De Boer wanted to play a certain style of football, and we never had the players for that. When Vieira came with a good 6 or 7 new players, and was able to play the football he wanted. So please take that in mind when you're thinking about that conversation. And I'd even say
was a flop as well, though.
he was for sure. As a manager, he's a failure anyway. So look how that completely played out for him. But I think
that the
Vieira is the flip of the coin worked in Vieira's side, because obviously he came with presence, and he came with obviously De Boer was never a bum as a player, but as a manager, terrible. But at least Vieira had that Premier League presence, so he would have been just uplifting those players just by him walking through the door, which a lot of players even admitted. The Vieira pool was the thing at the time.
Yeah, the thing is, after Hodgson, the scary thing about Steve Parish is he can't go back to Hodgson. Like, it's done. Like, under Vieira, he went back. Under De Boer, he went back to him. It's done now. It's done. And the thing is, AJ, can you list me a manager that's a safe bet? The Allardyce's, that era is over. Hodgson,
not anymore.
It's done. That era of managers is over. So after this, if it doesn't work out, you can't go back to any of these so-called safer managers that's got the Premier League experience and that knows how to keep teams up. Because I think this is it. After Hodgson, that there isn't any. We went through all of them. Pulis and all. Like, no. I mean, who's going to bring back Tony Pulis in 2024, for example? It's done.
I mean, the only one left out of them lot is what, Mark Hughes? And I think he's coaching Bradford or something like that now.
Didn't he get sacked from Bradford? I think he did. So
I wouldn't even rule it out.
Well, Warnock there isn't anyone. Like, realistically.
No, Warnock's just took a job in Scotland, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So it is done. It is done. I agree with what Mitch has said as well. Like, we could have brought back Roy in an emergency if we gambled and a manager this summer. But yeah, that's not gonna happen now. So yeah. Boys, if this season ends, this toxic, even if we stay up, how is Parish convincing these players to not force their ways out? Anderson, Gay, Elise, Eze, all going to be checked out and gone. That's why I think we need to make sure we appoint a manager ASAP, and the right manager that plays, that wants to play football, to try and convince some of these players that we have got something going on here. Because right now, if I'm a Crystal Palace player, I want out. If I'm one of those players anyways, because I'm too good for this team. I'm too good for the system. Like, it doesn't benefit them. They're all young players that want to play progressive football. That's how you get the best out of them, not with what's going on right now. But yeah, Ralph Hassan, all being mentioned. And
I don't even hate that idea, by the way. I don't hate Hassan, who he's very passionate. He was very passionate when he was around. He actually did get results. Don't get me wrong, when he got thumped. He held 8 or 9 on 2 occasions. But he was a very passionate manager. He had good, fresh ideas. And they even said the problem was he was at a football club where they were just constantly selling his players. So a little bit different. And he works with youth as well. Hassan, who was not the worst idea.
Yeah, I've been mentioned as well. But look, people, we're going to wrap it up here. According, if you're just joining us now, make sure to watch the whole show to see all the comments and all the questions being answered. But the latest is that apparently, according to the Eagles' beak, that Roy Hodgson's future at the club should be over. I think the board members have agreed on it. However, they're struggling to find a replacement, and that's why he's still in charge right now. But let's see. I'll be honest, I don't see anything changing before the Chelsea game. I think he will take over in the Chelsea game, and then we go from there. But we need to find a replacement ASAP. If we all agree that he's not the right man for the job, it's on us to go find a replacement. But only time will tell. But if you have enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, people. Thank you to every single one of you for tuning in. That's it from me and AJ. And until next time, up the Palace.